Shake it up, baby, now. Shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Twist and
Fiscal conservatism is, you can't separate fiscal conservatism from conservatism because it deals with taxing and spending and infringement of liberties. It also requires looking at a problem and how to actually solve it to the best advantage of the taxpayer. There is nobody that I know of that would say that we're going to build a fence, but then they're not going to put Border Patrol on the fence. I mean, nobody says that. And I used to be a build a fence guy. I said, if we just put a fence down there, it'll solve all our problems. The problem with a fence in the middle of the desert is this. In a city, in an urban area, a fence works wonders because there are law enforcement officials there to stop somebody from coming over the fence. A fence doesn't stop somebody forever. It slows them, about an average of 3 minutes, depending on what sort of scaling devices they use. And there's a melting point where somebody will melt into society. In San Diego, that melting point could be 10 seconds, 5 seconds. They just melt into the crowd. You're never going to find them. In the middle of the desert, that melting point is measured in days. So a 3-minute delay at the fence in the city is all the difference in the world. A 3-minute delay in the middle of the Sonoran Desert means absolutely nothing because the journey is measured in days. Look at the actual cost of the fence. This is something that nobody ever dices out. And people that want to build a fence, number one, they don't talk about the time it would take to build it. So, what about in the meantime? Number two, they actually never talk about the cost. Duncan Hunter, when he wanted to build the fence in San Diego, he proposed, and Congress accepted his proposal that it would cost $2.1 million per mile to build the fence. In actuality, I'll just give you a guess. Higher or lower? What did it cost?
Well, if it's a government estimate,
it's going
to be higher in actual cost.
$9 million.
If the government builds the fence.
$9 million per mile for the fence. So we're looking at 4.5 times what it actually cost to what it was projected to cost. The maintenance on the fence alone is $2 million per mile per year. If you stretch that out for 2,000 miles, which is what my opponent is advocating, a 2,000-mile fence, not only double layered, but sometimes triple layered, and I'm also counting in $2,005, not accounting for inflation, plus the Border Patrol, additional Border Patrol they're advocating, it comes to over $250 billion. $250 billion, when we should be putting our Border Patrol on the border. Our Border Patrol, we have 20,000 Border Patrol agents. Let's put them on the border. They're now 20 miles in, 50 miles in, fighting in our backyards, the illegal immigration problem. Put them on the border. It's flexible. We can change to the threat, to the morphing threat, and it is accountable to the taxpayer, and you get the same result. Why build a fence that's not going to work when you could put Border Patrol on the border and provide border security?
Here in Arizona, of course, we recently passed Senate Bill 1070. Do you support 1070?
Oh, yeah.
And the Obama administration recently stated that it might not process any illegal aliens apprehended by Arizona's law enforcement officers. What do you think about that?
I think we ought to take the power to deport. I mean, there's no reason why Arizona shouldn't do that. SB 1070, in my view, is an unfortunate necessity. It is unfortunate because the federal government refuses to do this. There are reasons for this. There's different reasons across the political spectrum. They include cheap labor, they include amnesty for votes, they include the welfare state. And also, professional politicians love this issue because it's emotional and they get to run on it every 2 years. And they do that at the expense of you and me and our families and our safety and the families down on the border. And we've got to solve this problem. We've got to give our Border Patrol and our court system a manageable problem. Put the Border Patrol on the border, take those 3 things away, amnesty, anchor babies, and federal welfare, so we're not incentivizing people to immigrate illegally. And we need to have, much like the Bracero program in the 50s and 60s, flawed though it was, overall it worked. And it allowed us accountability on who's coming into our nation. It encouraged assimilation to our culture. We can then provide true security on the border because we aren't cluttering the radar of the Border Patrol with 1.5 million illegal entrants, and they can focus on just the 1,000 or what the drug cartel operatives, the human smugglers, the gangs, the potential international terrorists. Let them secure our borders to keep us safe.
Hillary Clinton recently announced that the federal government would be suing Arizona over SB 1070, and Mexico is currently suing Arizona as well. Any comments on this legal action at all?
I have to plead ignorance on how in the world foreign countries can sue in our courts. I don't understand it. I don't get it.